Hello and welcome back to the When You're Podcast, the podcast for when you're doing anything. Today we're talking about when you're losing the war against allergies. Guys, if at any time during this podcast, during this episode, I have to sniffle or I cough, please forgive me. I'm going through it right now. This past few days, I've been really harsh with the allergies. There's nothing I can do against it, guys. I'm losing this war against them. You would think after years of society adapting and evolving, we would overcome the common cold and allergies, but there's nothing I could do. I've been struggling for it. I can't handle it, you know? So anyways, I just kind of want to talk about how I've been dying recently. I mean, it was especially terrible yesterday. I can't express enough how horrible it just was overall. So I thought I would take this time to kind of relate to you guys, to the people really, you know, and express just what is the war we're fighting against the allergy season this spring. And I have to say, the top of it all, you know, the one that hurts the most, I think is definitely got to be sneezing. Sneezing is a top tier enemy. It's definitely a soup. It's a if we're fighting a war, then sneezing is definitely a dictator, you know, the prime, the big leader, you know what I mean? That he is oh my gosh, I don't even want to say this, but he is the Führer, the whatever my fear. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. My Führer, he is the Führer. It's the German saying for the king or whatever, that my fear. But man, I'm sure it's so easy to say, but I'm messing it up because I'm trying too hard to say it. You know what I mean? You know how you try too hard to pronounce something and then it just like loses all meaning? Like I could have said it perfectly the first time if I didn't get in my head about how it's supposed to be pronounced. Führer. Something like that, all right? Whatever. It's the big one, all right? It's the top dog. It's the leader. It's the one leading the charge, okay? Sneezing without question is the leader of it all. You know, the one that's pushing, driving force. And it's difficult. It's difficult to overcome. I mean, when you think about it, you ever think about those big sneezes? I'm not talking about like the little kind of like a two, like nothing like the cute little two, nothing like the cute little sneezes that we get when we were little. None of the cute little like the simple dry sneeze when it's like maybe your nose got a little ticklish and you just two, you know, like nothing like a random sneeze like that, right? I'm talking about like a real big sneeze, like the wet kind of messed up one that like hurts all the way down to your chest, you know what I'm saying? The one that like makes your arm feel like it's about to fall off because it's strained, you know what I mean? That kind of a sneeze. That sneeze where it's just like, you're like, man, if I had sneezed any harder, my brain would have flown out, you know what I mean? You're afraid you're going to sneeze blood because of how much you're sneezing. That's the kind of sneeze I'm talking about. The kind of sneeze that's like, you ever see Cat in the Hat where he sneezes and it's got that purple kind of goo coming out of his hands and stuff and whatnot? Yeah, that kind of sneeze. The kind of sneeze that's like gonna look like flubber. You know what I'm saying? Flubber. You know what I'm talking? You know what I mean? Flubber. Like the kind of sneeze that's like Nickelodeon slime sneeze. Like that kind of sneeze. You know what I mean? Just a nasty little thing. Those kind of big sneezes. Oh my gosh. Those are... Alright, so... Those are what we call... I want to say they're like the atom bombs, but maybe I should do something a little smaller. No. Yeah, let's call them the atom bombs. Those are atom bombs in this war, okay? Those things are so deadly. They can destroy... I mean... Germanheimer. that they spread Germanheimers. You know what I'm saying? It's just they were invented to just get out there. You know what I mean? But gosh, it's just deadly. Those big sneezes. Painful. I experienced a few of those, and they were not kind. And then obviously you get the small sneezes. Those ones are just like, I don't know, regular bombs. They're whatever. I mean, I guess they hurt more in succession. You know what I mean? So it's like you drop a few, and it has to be like repetitive. So like you sneeze one time, but it's like, I guess what's the equivalent? Small sneezes to big sneezes. I think 4 small sneezes equate 1 big sneeze. So if you sneeze 4 times in succession, like achoo, 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 like that, like there's some people who sneeze like that, or if you sneeze maybe like achoo, and then you have like the follow up, and then you have the achoo, you know what I mean? And then you think you're done, but then you come back again, it's achoo, and then you come back one more time, achoo, you know what I'm saying? Like, they get progressively worse each time. Yeah, I feel like that equates to 1 big, large, gigantic sneeze, you know? And those ones, oh my goodness. Those ones, it's because it's the momentum is there. It catches momentum. The first sneeze, you're like, all right, you know, maybe I'll sneeze only 1 more time. But then after the second time, you're like, man, it just won't go away. Third time it hits. And then the 4th time, you're like, and it just keeps on rolling. You know what I'm saying? It's like your body naturally wants to keep on sneezing to get it out. But you're just like, I want it to stop. I need to breathe. Just awful. Just a terrible tragedy in all this. And you know what sucks about these sneezes? You know what's the worst thing about these sneezes is that they can be totally unexpected. You know how I was saying, like, sometimes you just like get that unexpected little sneeze, a little like achoo, that little one-off sneeze, and you're kind of like, oh, no second sneezer, it's not so bad. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes sneezes are like unexpected. They come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And it's because of that. They kind of just like, they come and go, and you're just like, wow, that was just one sneeze. That was and then you don't sneeze again the rest of the day. You know what I mean? Those unexpected ones. Well, these ones, when you're really allergic, when you're really facing like the common cold or the flu or whatever, and then you sneeze, oh my goodness. It's because you just can't predict it. You can't predict when you're going to get that sneeze. You can't predict when you're going to get that call to real action. You know what I mean? It just comes out of nowhere. They drop a bomb on you, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I can't fight this anymore. You know what I mean? But you have to. You got to. So the only thing worse than the only thing worse than all of that, well, I wouldn't say worse, but there's another twist to it all right? There's the ones where you can't sneeze, where you're like, man, I really gotta let one out, or you can feel it coming, and then you're just like, it's not getting out, and then your nose gets like even more stuffed, or maybe even more clogged or congested. It just ruins the whole flow of it all. And I have to say, it's evil. It's evil. That's like some what is it? What is it called? It's like, I don't want to say reverse psychology, but it's like, it's a fear tactic. It's a fear tactic to get your body scared again. So like, you think you're going to sneeze and your body's scared and your mind is scared. Your brain is telling you like, it's going to happen, but then it doesn't happen. It's like it's like a horrible person going up to somebody and saying they're going to do something horrible. It puts everybody in a panic. You know what I mean? They're like, something's going to happen. It may not happen, but it probably will happen. And so you kind of like stay up all night freaking out about it. You don't sleep. You can't rest well. And then nothing ends up happening. And it's like, man, I worried for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like, if something does happen, then it's kind of like you can react. You know what I mean? So yeah, the can't sneeze, man. Difficult. Okay. That leads me to my next one. If sneezing is the the top leader, if they're the dictator in all of this, then the dictator, like all good people, needs a good general. It needs somebody to lead the battles, you know? And I feel like that person is definitely coughing. Coughing. Oh my goodness, coughing. What Okay, let me try to talk here. Coughing is so painful. It's so scratchy. It literally solves nothing other than to mess up your throat and just try to release any phlegm, but it doesn't actually do anything. It's so dry and horrible. And what's worse about it is sometimes there's nothing you can do to stop it. You can't stop it. All right. So this general is, quite frankly, probably is definitely a steep hurdle to climb. All right. But there are ways to fight against it. Right. It's not impossible. But the nose is tricky. The nose is always the trickiest part, the thing to deal with. The cough, you can drink some water, you can have some hot tea, you can take like cough drops, or maybe have like a hard candy of sorts to kind of help you out, like a Jolly Rancher if you want, like as a substitute or whatever. Or you can take like some cough medicine, right? Like there are ways to prevent it, you know, syrups and other kind of liquids that you can drink or to pacify it, to help you out, you know, throughout the night or whenever you're coughing. But the nose is always so tricky. So as a general, this fight is difficult, but not impossible. Okay, it's not the worst. It's not the worst thing, you know what I mean? Especially because every now and then you can kind of like take it easy, or you can kind of like, they're not as frequent as the nose, right? We have to breathe every now and then, but when you cough, it's not as, I don't know, there's not like a direct line to it, right? Like you can be sick and not cough, but almost always when you're sick, your nose is runny, or especially when you have allergies, you know what I mean? Your nose gets congested, one gets clogged up, the other one is kind of like dry as can be. It messes up your whole flow. It messes up everything. So it's really difficult. Now, if sneezing is the dictator, and then the dictator has his general, which is coughing, then that means there has to be some sort of like, I don't know, a knight or like a trusted soldier. Let's say like I don't know the military rankings. Is a colonel underneath the general, or is the colonel above the general? I don't know the exact name of it all, but I'll say this though. If the general has a squad, that squad has a leader, and the general is going to rely on those soldiers to kind of mess up the fight. If they're fighting me, then I say one of the general's most trusted soldiers is the watery eyes, the itchy eyes, the red eyes. That evil soldier messes up with your sight, and it makes it impossible for you to get anything done. You go outside, your eyes start watering, they turn red, they're itchy as can be, and you can't stop scratching them, and you're just like, why, you know? Now, they're probably the easiest thing to let go of. Like, obviously, it's not so horrible. You can still see fine. It's just the irritation a little bit, and the itchiness of them is just, it gets really distracting, and it's very difficult to overcome at times, you know? And then sometimes you feel like, why am I crying? It's like I'm not even doing anything sad at all. And then you just realize, oh wait, I know why. It's just because of the allergies, or they're welling up in my eyes. And you're just like, man, I didn't even really care all that much about anything. But now that I'm like, the tears start flowing, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why not cry? It just, for some reason, they affect you, you know? It's a strong soldier. It's definitely one of the elite ones. And every time I look into the mirror and I look into my eyes, I'm just like, oh my gosh, my eyes are so red. And I'm like, I didn't even do anything. But then I realized, wait, I've been scratching my eye constantly, or rubbing it, or trying to get the water out of there. It's been welling up for days now, and I just can't, I can't stop, you know what I mean? And I'm messing it all up for myself. It's very difficult. It's very hard to face or to overcome. But I will say this. What is it called? It's not the worst thing. You know what I mean? It's like, you can fight it, you know? You can get eye drops. It's defeatable, you know what I'm saying? And also, some people just don't get watery eyes or get affected that way, you know what I mean? It just kind of, it's one of the lesser symptoms, I suppose. But definitely common, but it's one of the lesser ones. But anyways, in terms of a war, that's a strong soldier right there. And I can't say it enough. That thing will blind you. That soldier will mess you up, but you can fight against it, you know what I mean? Get a good eye drop for it. It'll definitely help out. So, keep doing your thing. Keep fighting. Keep fighting the good fight. And it also makes you kind of constantly blink. So it's kind of, I didn't realize how much I was blinking until I started getting these allergies. And then I started noticing that, you know how you realize you're breathing, or when you realize you're blinking and then you can't stop realizing that you're blinking. And then you're just like, oh man, is there anything I can do to kind of, I don't know, deal with this power, this poison? I don't know. But anyways, now, a tactic that the sneezing leader will try to do, this is a top tier tactic that it will do to you, okay? It's called congestion. This war tactic, this battle, this overall, this warfare, this way of attacking me, attacking your enemies, attacking us, all right? This is their main way, the congestion. Oh my goodness. It is beyond annoying. It is so difficult to defeat. It is, without a doubt, the strongest tactic, one of the strongest tactics that they have, okay? Like I said before, you can't predict if it will go left or right, both or none. And if it goes none, then you better appreciate it while you can, because guess what? You will not live that way for much longer, okay? The one that infuriates me the most is when one is runny and stuffy at the same time. It's just like, man, I can't do anything to get rid of it. And then you know what happens? Within an hour or two, it moves over to the other nostril and the other nose. And you're just like, man, can't I get a single second of peace around here? Can't I ever, you know what I mean? Just breathe normally. And then you know what I realized? I took for granted all of the moments, both of my nostrils were free of any runny nose, any congestion, any kind of real problems, all right? And then the transition between them, it's like, man, you're fighting against me, you know? One of you was on the good side, now the other one's on the bad side, but then they switch up on you and you're like, this is what it is. This is how they get you. They turn your own nose against you. It's difficult. It's difficult to combat. And I'm losing this war, people. I can't fight it. And then the ears. Sometimes the ears feel like they need to pop, but then you're just like, I gotta leave it alone because there's nothing I can really do in this moment. As soon as the nose clears up, everything else will clear up. The whole congestion thing will clear up as soon as the nose is free. once the nose is free, like they got our hand, they took our nose. You know that thing where they got your nose? They got our nose, okay? And we can't take a single breath because of them, okay? And once we get that breath back, once we're able to fully utilize our nose again, guess what? Everything else will be just fine. Everything will clear up A-okay. But you know what happens? But let me tell you this. You know what happens? It always comes back again. They always get our nose again. So you know what? Even when things do go okay, guess what happens? The cycle keeps on going, all right? This is a never-ending war. That's why it's a war. It's an ongoing cycle, okay? And I don't know how to do it. I can't defeat it. And then your nose is so congested, it's so clogged up that when you try to sleep at night, you have no choice but to become a mouth breather. And you don't want to be a mouth breather. It's never been your destiny to be a mouth breather. You like breathing through your nose. You enjoy breathing through your nose. But guess what? Tough times call for desperate measures. And you have to become a mouth breather. But when you become a mouth breather, you know what ends up happening? Let me tell you, you get a sore throat. You get a sore throat because now your mouth has been open for so long trying to get in oxygen to help your body survive, and now you can't even talk. You get dry cotton mouth, okay? And not even water can fix this, okay? Not even plain water can help you out through this, okay? And then you're trying to breathe and you're just you can't even do anything. So now you got this sore throat, and it makes it difficult for you to even talk to another human being. So now you just want to stay completely silent. You don't even want to make any noise because you don't want to aggravate your throat any more than it already is. Okay? Now, is it a difficult fight? Yes. But the sore throat can be remedied. Okay? And I find, for me, hot tea works the best. It's definitely a top tier solution. As soon as I drink it, it's like it just calms everything down. That little moment where you feel like I'm never going to survive this. How am I going to get through this? Water alone can't do it. What's hot water going to do? And then you take that first sip of tea, right? You add I don't know what you add in it. Everybody can add different things, but maybe you add a little bit of sugar to it or some honey, right? Maybe a little bit of lemon juice in there to give it a little acidity or a little sourness to balance the sweetness, you know what I mean? And then you mix it all together, you take a drink of it, and then instantly you're like, I can feel the change. I can feel myself fighting against this sore throat. I can beat it, you know what I mean? It no longer hurts to breathe. I don't need to worry about the plain old water healing me. Now that I've drank this, I can drink as much water as I want and still feel the effects of that hot tea. It's like everything clears up, and all of a sudden, you just feel back to your good old self. You feel like you can take on anything. It's difficult to put into words the feeling, the sense of accomplishment, the overall win of a battle. It is once you drink that hot tea. It makes the battle seem. It makes victory seem possible, in a way that nothing else has ever done before. And now finally, they try to get in your mind. They try to psychologically test you. They try to see how much can you really take? How much can you really go through before it's too late? How much of this fight do you really want to go through? And then I think to myself, what more can they do to me? They've already taken my sight with the watery eyes and the itchy eyes, the redness. They've taken away my ability to speak by coughing nonstop. They've taken my ability to breathe with congestion and sneezing. They've taken away everything. What more can they take from me? And then you realize there's one thing close to all of us. There's one thing that sits at the top of our head, and it's our minds, it's our heads. They give us headaches. They give us nonstop headaches. And you know what? And you think, oh, I drink plenty of water. I drink the most amount of water out of anybody I know. I constantly try to stay hydrated. I know for a fact it's not me. It can't be me. And then it is you. They target the mind. They get you right there with headaches. And you're like, why is it coming out of nowhere all of a sudden? And then you get unexplainably hot. And you're just like, is this a fever that I'm feeling? A fever right now? And then the headache starts to spin your head like crazy. And you start to go dizzy. And then you start feeling a little bit of like a fog. Like, what am I even doing with my life? What's even going on right now? How am I walking? How am I standing? How am I doing any other natural thing that I'm doing right now? How am I doing this? Am I meant to do this? Can I even survive this? And then the fogginess makes you a little lightheaded. And lightheaded in the sense that like it feels like your brain is like floating in a pool of water, and it just floats to the top of it like a nice little beach ball, and you have no control over it, and it's like a crashing wave is going back and forth on it, and your head and your beach ball of a mind is just crashing and floating on the waves, succumbing to the ocean that is in your mind, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And that's where the motion sickness starts to set in. That's where the dizziness comes from. That's where all of it starts to affect you, and you're just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't stand. I can't walk. I gotta lay down. I gotta sit down. I gotta do something to get my mind off of it. And then you start to realize this is what they want. They want me to fight them laying down. They want me to just take it with defeat. I can't do anything. I can't enjoy the simple pleasures of my life. I can't enjoy a nice bowl of cereal without fighting this giant headache. And then that's when it comes to you. It's all a mental game. It's all about concentration. And the longer you concentrate, the more you can fight it. But then that doesn't work because your concentration's thrown off, because now you're thinking of analogies to interpret to people how your headaches feel to one another. I said it feels like a beach ball that's on the ocean crashing into a wave after I just said it was a pool. So which is it? Is it a pool or is it an ocean? I can't decide, and I don't want to decide. And then even if I did decide, what would it matter? All that matters is that I'm suffering. I'm suffering in this war, and there's no end to it. It's seasonal. It happens every single time. And then everybody's just like, I can't wait for spring. And then you're like, I was so happy in the winter when everything was cold and nobody was fighting anything. You know what I mean? It was just happy-go-lucky times. I could wear really warm clothes and everything was all happy and good. And then everybody's like, oh, well, spring brings out the flowers, and then it's summertime, and then you're like, it's going to be super, super hot. I can't even take it. I'm not ready for it. And then before you know it, now you're kind of questioning reality, and you're like, why do we even have to have these seasons? Who makes up these seasons? What if this season of summer or spring is actually meant to be fall, and then fall is actually meant to be winter, and summer's meant to be summer? And all of these ideas start floating through your head, and that's how they get you. They trick you. They actively trick you so that way you won't realize the real problem. The real problem is on the inside. The real problem is the nose, the mouth, the nose, the sore throat, the itchy eyes, the ears, all of it. It's all on the inside, and they don't want you to do the one thing that you know can clear all of this up, okay? Now, I'm not saying everybody can do this, all right? And some people are willing to go further than others to fight against this war, all right? But we all know what the main way to combat this war, all right? This is our strongest way to fight in this war, okay? And that's drugs. Drugs. They're your friend. They will help you out throughout all of this, okay? Now, if you don't believe me, you've never been there. You've never experienced real war. But I promise you, they will make the war beatable, all right? Until the next time. But now, It's all about experience, okay? You can't tough it out every single time. Sometimes you're going to be really weak and you're going to need that little extra help. And with that, I just want to say, guys, I'm losing this war against allergies. But don't worry, I'll pull through somehow. You know, they've tried every single year. They're not going to win this time, you know what I mean? They've tried to get me before. They're not going to get me now. So after all of that, I just want to say, yeah, I'm not getting taken down by this thing. Not getting taken down by seasonal allergies. I just, I kind of felt like complaining or like letting you guys know that I've been suffering. It's been a tough time. And I hope you guys are pulling through, okay? I hope you guys are doing well. And I want to say thank you guys so much for listening. And I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.